Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Daddario and to the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council's presentation to the Strategic Implication Assessment Team. It is an honor to have so many elected officials and distinguished guests here, and I thank all of you for coming. In a moment, I'll turn the microphone over to my friend, colleague, and co-chair of the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council, Kevin Law. Daddario & Company is a family-owned business that began solely as a music string manufacturer and has now grown into the music product industry's largest manufacturer and distributor of musical accessories, with 1,100 employees worldwide. We would not have been able to grow without the cooperation we have received from New York State, the County of Suffolk, and the Town of Babylon. In fact, this building, our headquarters, was purchased in 1994, utilizing a low-interest bond issued by the Town of Babylon's Industrial Development Agency. Manufacturing low-cost, high-volume consumer products on Long Island is quite a challenge. Yet through the utilization of programs available at every level of government, we have been able to succeed, in some cases relocating out-of-state operations to Long Island. We now manufacture 95% of our products in America, most of which are made here on Long Island. Of our 1,100 worldwide employees, 800 work in 3 factories, soon to be 4, right here within a quarter-mile radius. In a recent branding study, our ad agency tagged our company as a New York-inspired story. And programs like those being discussed today have made it possible for us to remain a New York story. When my grandfather came to New York in 1904, he was able to realize the American dream. Now the 4th generation of Daddario family and many, many immigrant families that work for Daddario are continuing to live that dream, thanks in no small part to the work the state is accomplishing through these regional economic councils. It has been an honor for me personally to serve on the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council the last 2 years, and it is an honor to host all of you today. Now I'd like to introduce my friend, Kevin Law. Kevin?
Thank you, Jim, and the whole family, the whole Daddario family, for hosting us here today. What a great American success story. There goes the lights. Oh, that was intentional, right? Okay. We have some elected officials I'd like to acknowledge, starting off with really the guy who has been really shepherding the entire process for all councils throughout the entire state, and that's our Lieutenant Governor, Bob Duffy. Bob? One of our great state senators representing Nassau County, a good friend, Senator Jack Martins. Jack? My state assemblyman, Assemblyman Mike Fitzpatrick. Mike. Another member of the State Assembly from Nassau County, Dave McDonough. Dave. Okay. And Riverhead Town Supervisor Sean Walter. Thank you, Sean. I didn't miss anybody, did I? No. Okay. Well, is Steve still here? No, I think both our county executives were here today, and they had to get back to Mineola and Hauppauge, Ed Mangano, and Steve Ballone. And now my pleasure to introduce my dear friend and my co-chair, Stu Rabinowitz, the president of Hofstra.
Given my age, I'm not going to stand. Where the microphone's not on. This is a replay of Albany. I don't know if you remember, but I'm talking and talking and talking, and nobody's reacting. Okay, I'm going to begin the presentation and not just make some introductions, but I'm going to begin our formal presentation. So I will do it seated. And thank you, Kevin, for the introduction. The 4 panel members, as you can see in front of you, who will make the presentation and divide up certain parts of the presentation today. Of course, co-chair Kevin Law, who is the CEO of the preeminent business organization on Long Island, the LIA. Marianne Garvin, immediately to my left, who is the fabulous CEO of the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. And of course, to my right, a a good colleague and a close friend, the president of a wonderful university, Dr. Sam Stanley, president of Stony Brook University. And I would also like to recognize, before we begin our 28-minute and 37-second presentation, as timed by ESD, I would like to recognize our partners in this effort over the last 2 years, and that is the members of the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council. This has been a wonderful experience to serve on this council, and the council represents all sectors of the Long Island geography and economy and perspectives, and we have worked together hard, almost day in, day out for certain periods of time, and we have reached an absolute unanimous consensus on the future of Long Island's economy and how to get there. So, this isn't, Kevin and I may get the press, but the work is done by the members of the council. So the members of the council who are here, please stand up and be recognized. I also want to recognize, more than 200 non-council members have been intimately involved in this effort in our working groups. And, if you thought the council was represented a broad base of Long Island views, certainly the working groups have enhanced that and have enhanced our public input and our public explanation as to what we're doing and why. And so if I see a couple of members of the working groups who are here today. A couple of them happen to work at Hofstra, but there may be more. So would the members of the working groups who are here today please stand and be recognized? In addition to that, there are some people in ESD and with the governor's office who really supplied the backbone of the work, the guidance, the council. You took 24 or so non-professional economic development people to develop strategic plans and make recommendations. We needed help and we needed guidance. And we got everything we needed from, first of all, appreciation to the governor, but the person on the governor's staff who organized this thing this year perfectly and helped us out, Megan Daly. So Megan is over here. ESD, I'm not sure most people know the hard work that Empire State Development did before there was a regional economic council, will do after there are regional economic councils, day in and day out, to build the economy in each of the regions and the state overall. And we're very fortunate to have, first, a CEO of ESD who gets it completely. His grandfather also happened to be a former president of Hofstra University, purely coincidental. But I want to thank Ken Adams, the head of ESD. And lastly, but certainly not least, I want to thank the regional ESD office here and the entire staff, but particularly its executive director, who has, I keep trying to hire her. That's how good she is. Andrea Lonice. Andrea. That didn't count against our 29 minutes and 37. So Long Island is incredibly proud of our history, as it should be, and our assets. Oh, see, there you go. You're right. I need to introduce the panel members.
You were on a roll there.
That was a bad omission.
It only cost you 2 points.
Yeah. So I am not going to introduce every member of the panel. I am going to introduce one distinguished, fantastic, legally trained, honorable Secretary of State, Cesar Perales, who's going to introduce the others.
You get the 2 points back. So that was
No, and I think Stu's been perceptive all day. I mean, he's actually described us as a very good-looking team. Is that? Do you remember that, Stu?
Yes.
Yes.
I meant it. I still mean it.
I'm sure you meant it. Let me, on behalf of the assessment team, tell you that we have been extraordinarily impressed by the tour we received today. It's been fantastic, and we very much appreciate your hospitality. Let me actually introduce the members of the assessment team. On my left, we've got the New York State's Agricultural Commissioner, Darrell Obertine. Immediately to my right, the Tax and Finance Commissioner, Tom Maddox. And sitting on the extreme right is the Environmental Facilities Corporation President and CEO, Matt Driscoll. Let me say that we are not the entire assessment team. There are two other people that serve on it. Roanne Destito, who is our Commissioner of General Services, she could not be here today. And we also have a member from the Brookings Institute that serves on this panel, and no one is available today from that group. At any rate, let me thank both Stu Rabinowitz and Kevin Law for what I'm sure will be a fabulous presentation. I wanted to just give you some background about what role we people up here in the front of the room are playing. After Governor Cuomo created the Regional Economic Development Councils last year, this region, as well as 9 others, created a 5-year strategic regional economic development plan. Last year, we were able to award $785 million to the 10 regions for those economic and community development projects that were consistent with those strategic plans. This year, you have been implementing your strategic plan, and we're here to learn about your progress. What we learned today will help us to distribute 5 additional awards of $25 million each. These funds will provide enhanced funding for your priority projects. I understand that you have about a half hour to tell us about the progress. It's back up to 30 minutes. It was down to 28. And I'm looking forward to hearing about the number of capital projects that were funded through the CFA last year. That's the combined financing mechanism that we use for all of our departments, and about the transformational initiatives that you're undertaking here in Long Island. After you tell us about your plan, we here will have 30 minutes to ask questions, and we want to be sure we understand your successes and challenges. Just keep in mind that we evaluate your progress on 6 criteria: strategy updates, implementing the strategic plan, leveraging resources, advancing priority projects, measuring performance, and engaging the public and involving all of the stakeholders. So now I turn it back to you, Stuart.
Thank you. In all seriousness, we are so grateful for the opportunity to present our progress and our new plans, our new projects to such a distinguished groups. So I begin by just repeating, as I began last December, about how proud we Long Islanders are of our history and our assets. We are the cradle of modern aviation. We're the birthplace of the lunar module. We're the site of America's first suburb, and we have some of the country's finest beaches and bays. We are the place where the DNA structure was first unraveled, and we actually have the first ever motor parkway built here. But Long Island is also our home, and we feel as if the council, on behalf of the council, we feel as if we owe a duty of stewardship towards our home. We believe that we are stewards of a region that has a population of more than 2,800,000 people, which is actually larger than 19 states in the United States. And we are the second most populous region of the 10 economic development regions established by the governor. We are a region which is and will continue to be an economic driver for the entire state. But in our intense study of the Long Island economy and its communities, we on the Council have certainly learned that we are a microcosm of the modern American economy. We, too, face challenges in light of changing economic demands and in light of changing demographics. But we are absolutely confident that we can meet those challenges because of our incredible assets and our determination to reach our full potential. We are pleased that you came down this morning from Albany, and I know you all have day jobs too, to witness personally the transformation, the progress we have made, and we have made progress. You will hear tangible progress, and the promise that we have in our new projects for the future. This morning, you saw some examples of the economic potential that Long Island offers, how innovative research and educational institutions, entrepreneurial individuals and companies like Jim D'Addario and his company, also a Hofstra graduate, by the way, Jim D'Addario, motivated public officials, confident communities, how all can come together, create jobs, rebuild crumbling infrastructure, leverage private and non-state investment, and work productively with the help of this great new state process and the help of targeted funding to create a perfect climate for economic development. In all honesty, we know that last year there were some who were skeptical about the whole regional council idea and skeptical about our role and what this new initiative could play in Long Island's future. Yet, in less than 1 year, just about 6 months, we have created or saved more than 6,000 jobs on Long Island. We have encouraged collaboration among institutions that formerly competed. We still compete on some level, especially in athletics, but we now have come together to work together for the entire region. And we have made and we will show you that we have made, in that short period of time, a measurable impact on the Long Island economy. Over the next half hour, we will show you the significant progress we have made and the promise of more progress in the next round, which our new projects hold for our region, and the ways in which we are measuring and assessing our success in ways that should give the governor and the entire state full confidence that we are using every taxpayer dollar that we receive to its maximum effect.
We really believe strongly. We believe strongly that what the governor did in creating the councils was the right thing at the right time for Long Island. You know, this has brought the business community, the not-for-profit community, our labor community, together to work collaboratively on a plan. It has brought both friends and competitors to collaborate, something that hasn't really ever happened on the island before. And so the Regional Council has been good news for our region. In terms of our strategic economic development plan for Nassau and Suffolk counties, as you know, it was recognized by the governor as one of 4 best plans, and it resulted in an award of $101.6 million in state resources for 62 projects. Now, this success presented us with a huge challenge in terms of getting then all the necessary paperwork done and the contracts in place to begin funneling that money to these projects. And we could not have done it without the assistance of all your agency staff. You all know it. Your staff has been terrific, and I think the council process has tapped the resources of almost every state agency. And so we couldn't have done it without the state agency staff. But it allowed us to meet the challenge head on, and we did secure contracts for all our Round 1 projects. We have even identified a project that utilizes the $25 million in private activity bond cap allocated to Long Island as a component of our overall prize. In addition, we have maintained our focus on the key strategies which drove our Round 1 and Round 2 projects, ensuring that the implementation will result in helping us achieve our vision, as we also outlined in our plan. So we're excited about the results so far. Marianne?
We are clearly focused on our vision and understand that our projects drive the economic results we seek. Outcomes matter, and measuring those outcomes keeps us accountable. So how do we know that we are succeeding in achieving the results that Governor Cuomo expects against the promises made and the projections offered? As a result of a data collection survey system created by our Long Island Regional Council staff, we have been able to gather real-time data from every recipient. This project monitoring system enables data to be collected on an annual basis and presented cumulatively over the life of the project and the duration of the Regional Council process. This system demonstrates, for example, that for the 6-month period ending June 30th, 2012, 6,128 permanent jobs were retained or created as reported by applicants, and state funds of $57.8 million have been leveraged against $81.5 million in other investments. That is huge for Long Island and for the state. Our progress report also contains projections for macro performance measures, whereby we account for the impact of the Regional Council-funded projects on Long Island's economy over the duration of their implementation. This expected impact will provide a substantial boost to the Long Island economy and, as a result, to the New York State economy. Other data also indicate success. Empire State Development's own metrics show that for the first 6 months of 2012, Long Island generated the most deals, retained and created the most jobs, and for one of the lowest costs per job in the state. Put simply, your investment on Long Island generated more bang for the buck than any other region, and the same impact will be realized in Round 2. In addition to the quantitative data, we continue to get qualitative feedback. We initiated Round 2 by re-energizing the work groups. You met a lot of them here today. We had very active participation with our work groups. It was a critical component to our success in Round 1, including a new Path Through History work group, utilizing the newly established state agency resource team to support our project implementation activities and track implementation of strategies. And I really just want to say that SART system that you put together was very instrumental in helping us get our projects going, removing barriers to implementation. I'm so pleased that you came up with that system. We have benefited from it. We continue to bring together hundreds of voices through workgroup meetings, public sessions, and comments to create a collaborative and creative environment. Our most visible, potentially game-changing successes involve the cooperation of some of the world's most respected research institutions and sophisticated businesses, some former competitors that rarely work together. Now they are working hand in hand to create high-tech jobs essential to our future. In just a few months, many of Long Island's priority projects have been initiated. Jobs have been created and retained, private funds have been invested, and employee training accomplished. Long Island's Round 1 priority projects promised high return on investment, both in terms of jobs and leverage, and every project that was recommended for funding furthered specific strategies developed by the Regional Council. That is all articulated in our submission in great detail. The hundreds of leaders involved in the Regional Council and work groups continue to believe in our 4 strategic areas of growth for Long Island: investments in the innovative economy, in rebuilding the infrastructure of Long Island communities, in our workforce, and investments in our superb natural assets.
We're proud to say that projects across all 4 strategic areas for growth are underway, strengthening our advanced manufacturing and pharmaceutical industries, putting people to work on key infrastructure projects in distressed communities, supporting our commercial fishing economy, and providing training in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. First, our innovation projects are already demonstrating results to help transform the Long Island economy to a knowledge-based, high-tech economy. Amneal Pharmaceuticals has broken ground on a $50 million, 325,000 square foot expansion project that retains 702 jobs and creates 400 permanent jobs, while also employing 100 construction workers and producing near-term impact from the state's $3 million Round 1 investment. Aligned with the strategies of the Innovation Industry Clusters Workgroup, this project supports and grows the pharmaceutical and life sciences sector on Long Island and is the largest of our private sector biotech pharma projects benefiting from Round 1 support. Accelerate Long Island, a collaboration of Long Island's leading research and academic institutions, has been established to foster innovation and technology development. It is off and running, in large part due to the state's investment of $500,000 for seed capital to match private venture funds and support startup technology companies. Under the leadership of a newly hired executive director, several new investments are planned in the next 6 weeks. This initiative demonstrates the region's commitment to collaboration, growing early-stage companies, and retaining them in New York. ThoughtBox, a replicable model of live, work, play space adjacent to a train station in an urban setting, brings together young entrepreneurs with investors, mature companies, technology commercialization assistance, and the convenience of public transportation, and takes the efforts of Accelerate Long Island to the next stage. The brainchild of a successful entrepreneur and venture capitalist, this project has turned the corner from concept to reality in just a few short months and is expected to gain rapid popularity upon opening. Cold Spring Harbor's laboratory, advanced drug testing facility, supported by a $2 million Round 1 grant, will break ground early next year, and once completed, will allow for expanded cancer drug testing at the Woodbury campus. Cold Spring Harbor Lab, with over 800 world-renowned researchers and scientists, including Nobel laureates, is an important source of new life science entrepreneurs who, with adequate funding and space, will become our next pharmaceutical employers. The Smart Grid 3, Smarter Electric Grid Research Innovation Development Demonstration Deployment Center, an innovative smarter electric grid center that is leveraging the intellectual resources and scientific facilities of Brookhaven National Laboratory and Stony Brook University to develop better data collection, energy efficiencies, storage and energy management solutions to reduce electric costs statewide, and to share leading-edge technologies with new and exciting smart grid businesses to retain or attract them in New York. This collaborative project has the potential for statewide impact.
You know, we continue to stay focused on our infrastructure projects as well. And in our second round, we will continue to focus on those. Our infrastructure projects create smart downtowns, they rebuild distressed communities, and they create much-needed rental housing for our region. They were given a critical jumpstart by the Regional Council, and I want to discuss a couple of them with you. The Ronkonkoma Hub. This is a collaboration between the town of Brookhaven and Islip, as well as Suffolk County. A master developer has already been selected, the Tritech Real Estate Developers Group, and an agreement has been executed with them. The critical component of this smart growth, transit-oriented development, is the sewage treatment plant, which is being designed with the Round 1 funding that we won last year. And it's going to proceed to the actual construction of the plant because Suffolk County has authorized $20 million for the construction of that. So we took your state funds and we're leveraging it with other funds, both private funds from the developer as well as additional levels of public support. And the project is moving forward. because ultimately this project is going to generate over 800 units of rental housing and commercial activities as well. The availability of public sewers adjacent to Long Island MacArthur Airport provides great potential for the expansion of facilities in that location and the surrounding industrial and manufacturing area, facilities in those areas. Next, we had Wyandanch Rising, a project that Supervisor Ballone, now County Executive Ballone, spearheaded. And this is a comprehensive project involving long-term commitments from both the town of Babylon and the county of Suffolk that will forever change the lives of the residents in this distressed community. The state-funded extension of a sewer pipe, which is already under construction. We didn't get a chance to tour that community this morning, but you would have seen work underway with the expansion of the sewers in that area. And as we also discussed this morning, we can't have growth in our region without treating our wastewater, and so it's a critical component of our opportunities to grow this area. This is a $100 million. This will leverage $100 million from the private sector. The Albany's Development Group has been selected to work on this, and it's another transit-oriented, smart growth, mixed-use development adjacent to the Long Island Railroad Station. This project has also involved so many different agencies, especially at the state level, and which we're grateful for. Round one funds, we have investments from Empire State Development in the plaza by the Environmental Facilities Corporation, thank you, Commissioner Driscoll, at the nearby 25-acre Geiger Park, and by the New York State Department of Transportation for the adjacent roadways system. And for a total of $6 million. This was the project that received the most amount of funds from last year's. And it's clearly underway. It's a New York State smart growth spotlight community, and things are looking up for this community. In the past few years, the Department of State, ESD, DOT, EFC, MTA, LIRR, XYZ. No. All those state agencies have been key players, as well as a number of federal agencies have all played critical roles in getting this project going. The solution here involved many levels of government, the private sector, the community, and it's a partnership. And it's the role of the council that helped us create all of these partnerships. And so we thank you for it. Next, in a similar type of redevelopment project, the Village of Hempstead, another distressed community, but we're excited about a $1 billion redevelopment plan for this community in Nassau County. It's a community that suffers from high unemployment and another deteriorated sewer infrastructure. So unlike Wyandanch, which never had sewers and we're using funds to bring sewers in, Hempstead has sewers, but because we were America's first suburb, and parts of Nassau County have been developed for 50 to 60 years or more, the sewer system there has now deteriorated, and we need to upgrade it. Without the upgrades, we can't get the growth. So with your funds, we're going to help move this community forward as well, and we're excited about the opportunities there with the village. These three smart growth, transit-oriented infrastructure projects provide redevelopment of blighted areas suffering from disinvestment. There's now going to be a link between the job creation envisioned by these innovation projects and the skills, training, and education needs of the current and future workforce.
You know, our vision is to create an innovation economy on Long Island that benefits every single Long Islander, not just some. And in order to do that, we need to develop our workforce in sufficient educational progress and in the kinds of areas that the new economy will call for. So our third strategic area, of course, is our workforce projects. And I have to say that the round one projects on workforce got going straight out of the gate to address the skills and the training needed in specific areas of STEM. Stony Brook and Hofstra are educating more engineers this year than last, and that trend will continue. Brookhaven National Laboratories, North Shore Long Island Jewish, and others are collaborating to increase STEM education for students in K through 12 by creating educational pipelines while involving private industry in the process as well. In partnership with the regional industry councils, STEM hubs have been established in both counties. Our Round 1 STEM and engine projects are showing immediate results, and the momentum will be continued with new projects addressing the two areas of focus, that is STEM and engine, as you will see in our Round 2 priority projects. Our fourth strategic area is enhancing, guarding, and utilizing Long Island's incredible natural assets. It is a centerpiece of our quality of life and a very, very important part of our economy. So this summer we kicked off the Round 1 funded bay scallop seeding project, and I've been eating scallops ever since. It has increased the production of scallops in the South Hold fisheries. A few weeks later, Lieutenant Governor Duffy was back down on Long Island with a large group of farmers and a private sector, very important private sector partner, John King, to unveil AgriPark, a public-private partnership providing a cold storage warehouse facility. And surprisingly, we didn't have one before. A cold storage warehouse facility that is expected to enable farmers to expand their markets, reduce packaging and storage costs, and improve profits. In the first round, a modest $500,000 grant is leveraging significant private sector investment in real estate and equipment, enhancing the utilization of the facility by the smaller farmers, supporting farming industry on Long Island and commercial fishing industries are an important underpinnings of the Eastern Long Island economy, and as a key strategy of the Long Island Strategic Plan, and one which has driven a number of our priority projects. In addition, Long Island's Excelsior tax credit recipients are generating jobs now. You've seen this wonderful facility, the Dario and Company, but there are others. There's Uncle Wally's, there's Norfolk Grumman, there's Cox and Company, for example. Each is expanding and purchasing machinery and equipment, creating and retaining jobs, and contributing to a diverse Long Island economy and a strong Long Island economy. And it's important to note that these companies that I just mentioned sell their products not only to Long Islanders, they sell their projects to others out of our region and indeed to other states and other countries. So they are importing economic dollars into the region. So to sum up or reiterate, for the first 6 months, we have kept our word. For the first 6 months following Round 1 announcements, we've initiated our projects, we have painstakingly documented their progress, and we are on our way to achieving, I'm confident, to achieving remarkable success, even with keeping in mind the very aggressive long-term goals that we set for ourselves. Furthermore, our strategies have been successful in taking some of Long Island's biggest historic challenges and creating opportunities for industries and for communities.
So, where are we going? In Round 2, we build on the progress we've made, and we look to the promise of a reinvigorated, collaborative, and innovative economy. As important as the first year priority capital projects were to creating jobs, as well as in generating energy and confidence in the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council and the broad coalition of Long Islanders working with it, we believe the second round is even more important. Several of the first-year projects are proposed for additional funding, signaling a continued commitment to the progress and principles that they embody. The remaining projects are expected to continue the transformation that has already begun and bring the region closer to the vision for our economy and communities that we share with Governor Cuomo, and which is spelled out in our strategic plan. Overall, the second-round capital grant priority projects, which are comprised of 31 CFAs, would create 8,310 construction and permanent jobs, leverage $1 billion in private and other investment, and move us decisively closer to meeting specific strategies and our regional vision. In this round, additional funding is requested for 4 critical Round 1 projects, projects that have made great progress and that have such enormous promise that further investment is critical. This category includes 3 infrastructure projects and 1 innovation project. The Ronkonkoma Hub. Funding will support the sewer collection system to expedite investment by the developer in the town of Brookhaven and kickstart expanded industrial development to the south, adjacent to the airport in the town of Islip. In the village of Hempstead, further investment is needed to rebuild the existing sewer infrastructure. Continued state funding is necessary for economic recovery in this community. In Wyandanch Rising, Round 2 support for a new train station and a pedestrian overpass will be leveraged and complemented by an MTA-funded parking garage. For Smart Grid 3, funding for the final design of 2 research facilities will continue activities at Brookhaven National Laboratory and Stony Brook University, essential to development of a smart grid, which has clear implications both for Long Island and New York State.
Our commitment to innovation continues in Round 2. 4 new innovation projects will build on the research of our world-renowned institutions, medical and energy technologies, that spin off not only new companies and jobs, but impactful, knowledge-based economic growth in New York State. They are the Broad Hollow Bioscience Facility, which some of you saw today. It includes construction of a 30,000 square foot expansion to the Broad Hollow Bioscience Park on 38.5 acres at Farmingdale State College. This new multi-tenant bioscience facility will include 10,000 square feet of clinical laboratory space to meet a critical need for incubator space to accommodate spin-offs from research facilities such as Cold Spring Harbor Lab. At Winthrop-University Hospital, we will construct a 94,000 square foot research institute, a medical research and education building in the village of Mineola that will focus on diabetes and obesity. This $80 million project will create 45 new jobs and is a key element in the Mineola revitalization effort. The Stony Brook Center for Biomedicine is a research facility with biotechnology incubator space at Stony Brook University's Research and Development Park, emphasizing the park's unique synergy of biomedical engineering and biotechnology resources. The facility will propel the translation of discoveries and inventions from Long Island's established and emerging biomedical research institutions to the marketplace. The university will work on a multi-regional basis with Rockland County's proposed Innovation Accelerator for biopharma companies at a former Pfizer plant. An additional investment is proposed for a multi-regional high-performance computing project involving Stony Brook University, Brookhaven National Lab, in collaboration and conjunction with 4 other university and private sector partners across the state, and they're listed there. From digital manufacturing to biotech, clean tech, and finance, the growth of these industries in the state of New York is directly dependent on our high-speed computing capabilities. Our recommendations also include a diverse cross-section of 9 private sector businesses, strongly reflecting a regional vision to support innovation, entrepreneurship, and natural assets. These projects will create or retain 1,821 jobs, develop new technologies, implement advanced manufacturing, and leverage nearly $33 million in private investment, all for an only $2.2 million state commitment.
In addition, Andrea's laughing. Did you have something to do with that? No? In addition to our investments in innovation, we're going to continue to invest in our infrastructure and infrastructure projects. And you know what's really important that it deserves a special mention is that, and with your agency's help, we've been able to do this, the state has a goal of achieving MWBE participation of 20%. And for those who don't know, it's a minority and women-owned business enterprises to help, those companies. And we have projects that approach 30 to 40%. And our applicants are strongly cooperating with us as we try to do that. And we believe that that's actually going to help the state achieve its goal because we're doing more here than what we're otherwise required to do, and we're happy to do it because we believe in it. And it's really relevant in our infrastructure projects. So in addition, we've talked about Ronkonkoma, we've talked about Wyandanch, we've talked about Hempstead. We have some exciting new infrastructure projects that we are recommending for funding in the second round. Winthrop Commons. It's a mixed-use residential, commercial use of a blighted, old, abandoned movie theater that's been sitting there doing nothing for about 15 years. This is really going to be a new asset for the Quorum community. Quorum's in the town of Brookhaven, and it was part of the Brookhaven's Blight to Light project. It's a 17-acre blighted property. It's going to be a transit-oriented development, smart growth principles, pedestrian-friendly, some really neat design, and have a community center as well. And we're excited to propose this project to you. Next, we are supporting funding for the Nassau Hub. Whatever happens at the hub, and just like the governor isn't going to dictate to the regions what they should be doing, he wants it to come from the ground up. This council is not going to dictate what goes on at the hub, and so, but we want to be supportive of it. And no matter what happens at that hub, it's going to require infrastructure improvements, and so we're recommending some funding for this 77-acre site in the heart of Nassau County, proximate to New York City, spectacular potential, and we'd love to see something spectacular happen there, and that's why we're supporting funding for it. Next, another really important project for our region, the Meadows at Yaphank. This is another mixed-use development, commercial, residential, out exit 68 in Yaphank. It's going to provide much needed housing, a lot for some of the scientists working at Brookhaven National Lab and some of our other research institutions. And so you begin to see a common thread. We're trying to have an innovation economy. We're not going to be able to have startups grow and prosper and be able to house their workers if we don't have the housing for them and the infrastructure for them. So everything that we do ties together, and this is another project that ties some of our strategic or some of our strategies together. Sticking in the town of Brookhaven, and what's neat, say why Brookhaven? Brookhaven, well, that's where there's still a lot of potential for the development of properties. And this new project, the Brookhaven Rail Terminal, another very exciting project, which is really it's not only good for our economy, it's good for our environment. It's taking trucks off the road, and what we're recommending is some funding to allow them to expand and construct a 500,000 square foot refrigerated warehouse. And right now, they primarily are in the stone and asphalt, rail and those materials. But with this new facility, we'll be able to help with both food products as well as other landscaping products. And so we're excited about the opportunity to fund the second phase of the Brookhaven Rail Terminal. And then finally, right down the road here at one of our airports, Republic Airport, Shelter is a fixed-base operator. They're looking to construct 225,000 square feet of new hangar space as well as some office space for businesses along the Route 110 corridor here. It's something important for businesses and their CEOs and salespeople who do travel, and to be able to access sometimes the private planes and not our commercial carriers at MacArthur or JFK or LaGuardia. And so it's important to continue to invest in our smaller airports, and this is another asset for our region, and we're happy to support it.
In round two, we continue to believe deeply in the necessity for investing in our workforce. There are jobs that are going unfilled, and there are future jobs that will go unfilled unless we match the education of our workforce to the needs of a high-tech economy. So we are recommending strongly the continuation of our round two overarching programs, STEM and Engine. It's essential in round two that we expand both of those programs. Our partners include Hofstra University, Adelphi University, Malloy College, Hofstra North Shore, Long Island School of Medicine, and the School Business Partnership of Long Island. The Engine projects continue to address the crucial need for more engineers on Long Island. The goal is to expand engineering programs at all Long Island institution of higher education in order to raise graduation rates of engineers at these institutions and generate the number of trained engineers needed to meet the demands of the Long Island economy. The project's focus on round two moves from, in round one we focused on Hofstra University and on Stony Brook. In round two, the focus now moves to Farmingdale State College and to NYIT, which will each make new investments to augment their existing engineering programs and students. And again, we repeat our emphasis on natural assets and our desire to strengthen Long Island's fishing industry, unique in New York State, by the way, and an asset to the east end of Long Island. It will be addressed in the form of infrastructure improvements to 2 commercial fish processing, packing, and distribution facilities in Montauk, which I was surprised to learn, I shouldn't have been, is the largest fishing port in the state of New York. The commercial fishing industry infrastructure on Long Island has deteriorated, limiting the volume and the value of the fish landed. This project and this investment would increase the industry's competitiveness and its profitability.
So in summary, we are, the Long Island Regional Council is recommending 16 priority projects involving 31 CFAs for our capital funding request. In addition, 13 Excelsior tax credit program projects are recommended as priority projects. And so in total, we are requesting state investment of $43.3 million for 42 projects that will leverage over $1.1 billion to create or retain over 5,400 permanent jobs for the Long Island and New York State economies. You know, an investment in the Long Island economy is an investment in New York State's economy. And as I mentioned to you this morning, investing in Long Island is like investing in Apple. You know, we have the iPod, we have the iPad, we have the iPhone, and we're the iRegion. And it's a good investment for Long Island. You know, overall, we see this year's Round 1 progress report and Round 2 priority projects as a very strong endorsement of Governor Cuomo's Regional Council initiatives and process. The Regional Council process created real and lasting change on Long Island. It brought us together, colleagues and competitors, businesses and educators, to create partnerships and synergies where few existed before. It has transformed the way we do business and the way we see our region. In the long run, it will complete our transformation from an economy dominated by bedroom communities and the defense industries to a diverse, knowledge-based economy. It will take distressed areas and revitalize them using smart growth principles. The plan will preserve our heritage industries based on our great natural assets and educate the next generation of workers. Our theme this year is progress and promise. By using economic incentives and aggressive timeframes, and by engaging all of our stakeholders in a very public process and meaningful way, we are indeed creating a better Long Island and a foundation for future economic growth. The Long Island Regional Economic Development Council is proud of our achievements and excited about the next round of the projects and the hope that they bring to our region. We want to thank the assessment team for hearing our progress report as well as our proposed recommended projects to you for next year. And we stand ready to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very, very much. It was interesting. We really have been impressed by both the tour and your presentation. I'm going to take the prerogative of holding on to the mic and ask the first question, and then I'll ask my colleagues to join in the discussion. I am absolutely persuaded after this tour and after this presentation that you may very well be the I region, Kevin, to use your expression. And I'm also impressed by the fact that you are cognizant of the fact that you've got, as the oldest suburb, some very distressed communities. And I heard a little bit about the STEM effort. What's going through my mind is here you've got the potential of developing this innovative economy, and yet you've got lots of folks that might be left behind. And I think that is a potential problem. I don't think any one of us wants to live in an area where you've got a lot of poor folks next to a lot of thriving economies. Maybe you could tell me a little bit more about how you use your STEM approach, your STEM interest, in getting some of these young people ready for these jobs. You talk about educating the next generation of workers. I think you'll agree it doesn't make sense to bring them all from the outside. You've got to develop your own youth, and you've got some serious problems, I think, like most of the old suburbs and most of the urban areas in terms of educating young people. Maybe you can talk a little bit about it, and also tell me how it is you're going to measure success, because this is a very, very difficult problem.
It is. It is, and let me say that from day one, the Regional Council unanimously agrees with your observation on this issue. You know, we know we have pockets of poverty. We know we have superb schools on Long Island that turn out incredibly prepared high school seniors and college graduates, but we know we need to do better. And all of our efforts are done with that in mind. So, you know, in terms of some of the STEM projects, I can perhaps turn it over to Mary Ann, who could detail some of them. But let me just give you one example. I don't know if you, which I know best because it's a Hofstra program, and that's not to say that, you know, it's the major program that, or, you know, that we're asking for, or it's the only program. It's far from it. But we have a medical pipeline scholars program where our new medical school adopts high school students from the most distressed communities, unfortunately usually the most diverse communities as well. And we have a full year program for them. The point of it is not to make every one of them a doctor, but the point of it is to get them to understand the great opportunities out there in healthcare and health science in general. They pay not a penny for this program. It's borne completely by Hofstra University and North Shore LIJ. We have several classes of these students, and it's not just healthcare, health industry. Once we get them in this program, we give them courses on how to take the SATs. We give them courses on how to succeed in college. And we are with them. They don't all come. Most of them don't come from high school to Hofstra University. But the very last class that they had, which was the first class at the very beginning of this project, 89% got into college from this program. And there were over 60 people in this pipeline. That's just, again, I'm not showing off Hofstra. I'm just saying to you that's one example which shows you how seriously we take the both issues of gap between skills and job openings and giving a fair chance to every Long Islander to play on an even playing field in terms of utilizing their full potential to reach the future.
Maybe Sam can speak to some STEM, and then I'll talk about the measuring.
Sure. So this is a very, very high priority, I think, for all of us, and as Stu said, I think has really informed a lot of the thinking we've been doing, particularly in the STEM areas. I think we're fortunate in that the institutions that are involved in these partnerships, particularly in programs like Engine, have made this commitment. So if you look, each of us, I know Stony Brook University does, I know Hofstra does, have programs, Farmingdale does, Suffolk Community College, have programs that are designed to increase the number of STEM students in some of these economically disadvantaged areas, particularly targeting those school districts. And David Ferguson at Stony Brook University has been recognized nationally for his efforts in these areas. So we're thinking about this as we develop these programs. It's informing, I think, what we're trying to do in these areas. It doesn't make sense to leave anybody behind. It doesn't make sense to waste the potential of those students. At Stony Brook, we're also concerned about the number of women in science and engineering as well. So as we're building our Engine program, we're making sure through our women in science and engineering that we're also representing them in this progress as well. So I think all these things, I think, are informing it. I think we really do care a lot about this, and I think it's an important part of our thinking.
Regarding the measuring that you asked about, for every single project that is funded, we care very deeply about making sure that we are on track and accountable for what we are promising to do. In the STEM and all of the training programs, every single entity that got a grant has reported as of June 30th how many folks have been trained, and we're going to continue that tracking on an annual basis. So we will know who has gotten trained in every program. We will know on the Engine program how many engineers have been produced, and we are going to track people to see where they end up. And our expectation is that they will stay on Long Island. I might add that for all of our projects, we intend to do the same kind of measurement. You'll see in the submission an individual sheet for every single project. We are counting the number of jobs that we've created, we are counting the leverage, and we're tracking the implementation. So what milestones we have made through the first 6 months and what our future expectations are for milestones. We're taking it very seriously, and we will give you all of that data.
Tom Maddox is a sort of a follow-up, he tells me.
I was just curious to what extent the council has had discussions, given the goal of being the I region, of going a bit beyond what you've described. So my understanding is that the medical program, for example, targets juniors in high school. And what we've heard in other areas of the state is that dropout rates prior to junior year can be an issue. So has there been any conversation about perhaps either supporting public education with greater emphasis on science training, the establishment of separate science academies to support the universities and colleges on Long Island?
Well, we've certainly, I'm sure Stony Brook has too, we've certainly had at Hofstra discussions about that. And, you know, there are also, among Long Island's higher education institutions, there are some really wonderful schools of education. And I can tell you that, similar to others, I'm sure, Hofstra School of Education has something called the IDEAS program, which was funded by the state through a state grant, which is designed to teach K through 12 teachers to to become more comfortable using technology and to sort of teach them how to teach their students to use technology. Our School of Education, and I'm sure others as well, has worked very closely with the State Department of Education in order to provide any curricular help that we can to the K through 12 schools in terms of STEM education. In fact, there was a grant which Stony Brook University and Hofstra were co-partners on of $11 million from the federal government, which is designed just to do that, to take the worst performing districts on Long Island and to send our faculty from each school into those districts to help with curriculum and to help train teachers who wanted the training. Now, they have to be willing. I mean, nobody, we can't force ourselves into a district that doesn't want us there. But on the districts that did want us there, that's an ongoing program of schools of education. We haven't proposed a project like that for funding other than the STEM programs that we talked about. But you can be sure next year we will. That's a great idea. Thanks.
Commissioner Albertine and then Matt Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. First of all, I want to compliment you on your presentation. I thought it was great. For me, the whole day has been enlightening. I come from a totally different part of the state that's not nearly as populous as you are down here, and I really am impressed with what I've seen and what your presentation has been. Having said that, I believe collaboration really is one of the keys to optimum success, without question, in my mind at least. How have host communities here, working with all of you, how are they being supportive in a tangible way to leverage? In other words, you've identified, I think it was over $80 million that has been leveraged. How have host communities been supportive, again, in a tangible way, to do more with the limited state dollars you've got access to?
Well, in a couple of ways. First, we have had a very public participatory process. We made it one of our goals to go out to the community, educate them about what we're up to. Again, so we're not trying to dictate down. At the end of the day, we need partners, and the council process has really helped us build partnerships, whether it's between business and not-for-profits or our communities and our smaller levels of government and Regional Economic Development Council. We're not a super zoning power. We're helping to facilitate funds, and so we need our municipalities to be working to help facilitate these projects, and they are. And they're stepping up to the plate. But as we're giving them funding, they're getting the approvals in place. It was the $2 million that we gave to Cold Spring Harbor last year. Subsequent to that, the town of Oyster Bay has already approved the zoning and the planning for that facility. Similarly, Brookhaven has already taken a lot of steps to facilitate the Ronkonkoma Hub project and the Wind Quorums project. In fact, every approval the Wind Quorum project needs has already been secured. Every approval the AVR property in Yaphank needs has gotten its approvals. And similarly in Wyandanch, the town, the county, and the community are working with us, and the same with the village of Hempstead. So the collaboration and the partnerships between the council, the smaller levels of government, and the communities has been working well.
And if I could just add what that does is it brings some level of certainty to the private sector to want to come and make an investment, whether it's in the infrastructure projects or in the Cold Spring Harbor. That brought another $20 million to the table. And other units of local government. Suffolk County has stepped up to the plate in a big way, leveraging a lot of the state money and the private sector money that has come to the plate. So I think starting with the public participation, gathering the support, having a sense of certainty brings the other dollars. And that's why we've been able to demonstrate the level of leveraging that we have been here on Long Island.
Now I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but would it be fair to say then that access to the state dollars in the way that your strategic plan has been crafted, you've been able to accelerate development either from the point of view of being able to turn permits around, being able to link one project to another. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
I would say it's even beyond the dollars. The dollars are critical because you have a foundation and it shows that there's support at the state level to attract other dollars. But it's also all of the state agencies that have removed barriers, like I alluded to in my remarks with the SART team, having the DEC for the wind quorum project, having the DEC expedite the wetlands permits. It sounds like a small thing, but without that, we couldn't put the site plan together and get the local planning board approvals. So part of this regional council process that the governor has put together has enabled us to integrate all these disparate parts. So yes, I think the state dollars is definitely a critical part, but it's beyond that. It's a lot of the activities of the state agencies coming to the table.
And are there weaknesses in your in the current plan that you've been able to identify, that you've been able to address in the next, in the 12-13 plan?
We are learning too in this process. It's only the second round, and we did go back. We need to have a positive relationship, as you point out, with the communities that we're trying to do good in. And we also have to listen to those communities if we screw something up. So whether you like this or not, as my phrasing it like this, we made a recommendation in our first plan about the state leading the secret process on all major projects. That might be a good idea somewhere, but it really wasn't a good idea on Long Island because, we just got a lot of feedback from village officials and mayors and supervisors and so on that we didn't think we were taking, I'm being totally frank, we weren't trying to take away their zoning power. We weren't trying to take away their ultimate decision making on whether in fact something should be built or not. But we did think, that maybe the state should take over to speed up the process. But the towns and the communities viewed it as an intrusion, a step intrusion. And so the council met and we decided, there's just, first of all, we didn't know if the state actually wanted to take over the secret process for all of these projects. And secondly, we need to work in cooperation with those communities. We need their support. More than that, we need their trust. They have to trust us. And it wasn't worth it. And so we decided to take that out of our strategies in order to, that was a weakness that we shouldn't have got involved in.
Can I just make a very quick response to your previous question? So I'm relatively new to Long Island. I've been here about 3 years, but one of the things I heard when I came was there was a tremendous challenge because it was a very segmented community, essentially towns, villages, hamlets, and that created a real disincentive often, or a real barrier to things getting done. And while I won't say we've completely transformed that in 1 year, I think there's been very significant progress. And I think your point was absolutely right on. I think this coming together, the ability to administer these state funds, has given a whole new level of cooperation at the municipal level as well. And some of the projects we're talking about, Ronkonkoma Hub, are actually projects where towns are coming together to do something. So I think it really has changed things, and I think you're absolutely correct.
Matt?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'd just like to begin by congratulating the Long Island Development Council for your presentation today and all your hard work and efforts. And I know a lot goes in to this planning process. And I'd also like to thank the Daddario family for the tour today. Frankly, I thought it was very fascinating. Congratulations on a successful business here supporting folks in Long Island. My question speaks to the 4 work groups that you've identified that are in the report and as you recognized here today. Could you describe for us, each of those work groups is assigned to a specific strategy. Could you describe for this panel with specificity what they do, how they do it, and what is the plan going forward for those work groups?
Sure. I'll take a crack at that. We originally met as a council, and we determined what our strengths and assets were, and that helped us form our vision, and that helped us then form our strategies to achieve our vision, following the guidelines of all the councils. And so it was a good process because it helped us focus. And so developing those strategies, we developed our 4 key areas of innovation, infrastructure, our workforce, and our natural assets. And so we, because the council itself is only 22 members plus some ex officios, and we created the work groups to include others, different voices, different stakeholders, and we added almost 200 other Long Islanders to these work groups. They met very frequently. They met and they helped us identify priority projects. They helped us identify some other opportunities for collaboration and partnership. The work groups in and of themselves was a form of collaboration because they were larger than the council, and they met as frequently or more frequently than the whole council did. And so they were instrumental in bouncing ideas off of them, getting ideas from them, and then incorporating them into our plans, our strategies, as as well as the ultimate decisions that we made in terms of our recommendations. We convened them again for round 2, and to assess what was working, what was not working, and what we could be doing and should be doing for the next round. And again, they played a similar role. They're a great sounding board. Stu said before, Stu and I, we get a lot of the credit. Maybe we get some the press, but yes, because we're the co-chairs. We then have 20-plus great council members, but then we had 200 other great Long Islanders assisting us with this. And so collectively, we all take credit for a worthwhile process that has, resulted in a successful round 1 award and hopefully a round 2 award.
I would add only to that there is, each work group understood the overall strategy, and since the overall strategy, as I hope we have demonstrated today, is completely interrelated, there was a lot of overlap in the work group. So a lot of the innovation projects also turned out to be, some infrastructure information and some workforce information, and there was a lot of give and take between the groups. So it wasn't, as segmented as it sounds, but they did provide basic, information on and suggestions and assessments of different, some different areas of our strategic plan.
And if I could just add that the way our entire plan fits together, we want to drive an innovation economy. And so we thought about what will it take to get us there? How do we encourage companies to stay on Long Island and to grow? And what do we need to accomplish that? Well, we need a workforce that can take on these jobs. So therefore, all of our workforce strategies are really a foundation. We need to use these world-class institutions that we have that are generating all basic research, and how do we commercialize that? That is under our innovation strategies. People need a place to live. and people need to get around Long Island. That's our infrastructure strategies. And our natural assets are an incredible economic driver for the island. So this is the big picture of how we advance our strategies. But even though there are these sort of artificial divisions between the different work groups, they all are integrated into our 6 key strategies.
Let me prove to you that Roanne DeStito is a member of our August group here. She's listening in on the phone, and she wants me to ask a question. All right, so this is,
No.
Hold on one second. Very carefully to your presentation. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there for the demonstrations, but I think you have a good mix. My concern is that, and I think it really it plays off of Cesar's, our Secretary of State's first question, and that is to bring everybody along with this strategy, whether it be the innovation or the natural resources. But I didn't hear too much about community college involvement and skills training for tradespeople and construction, and allowing those people to also come along with the regional strategy and skills building in that area, and also making sure that these same people on Long Island can also afford to live on Long Island. So I guess that's my question. Have you reviewed that? Everyone, I guess, cannot be an engineer, and I don't think you're going to have only engineers living on Long Island.
thank you, Roanne.
Thank you, Cesar.
So, I know there are 4 people here who are designated as the spokespeople. And certainly, I know the community colleges are involved in the STEM training, without a doubt. The question about other skills training, can I ask? No, she's shaking her head. Who can I ask from the council who would like to specifically address that question?
There's a hand over there.
Where? Okay. Could you come up, identify yourself? It may seem out of order, but I know that what the assessment team wants is the information, and it doesn't matter that it's not coming from one of us.
All right, so I'll do the standard tap and make sure this is working. My name's Ken White. I am the manager of the Office of Educational Programs at Brookhaven National Laboratory. Dr. Aronson put me on the Workforce Development Committee, and I am also the steward for the STEM Hub project, which was awarded funding there. So the STEM Hub project is really focused on STEM skills and working with the industries that you've heard the Regional Economic Development Council speak of as our growth potential. What we have done is we have begun to put together a consortium, in effect, of business leaders, industry leaders, and academic leaders across Long Island who are in all of these various industry sectors to push forward all the way from K through 12 up into the university level, community college, and 4-year college, as well as graduate and PhD for our industries as we need them. So what we've done is we have put together regional industry councils. We've just begun to launch those. They are divided up. There's 8 of them eventually. We have 4 of them moving forward. The one that's furthest along is the healthcare, life science area. And they are working very closely with the college community, Suffolk Community College, Farmingdale State College, and many others, Malloy, Adelphi, you heard with Hofstra, the medical sciences, to make sure that the training that we're providing to these people are actually the training they need to be employed within those industries. And what we're finding is there's a mismatch or a slowness within the system to be able to recognize what those changes are and how we move the colleges forward in addressing those. So some of the core industries that we've included in our STEM Hub regional industry councils are advanced manufacturing. We know that the composites industry, for example, is very important to the island. We have in there, I mentioned the life care, health sciences. We have the engineering, of which you heard Dr. Rabinowitz speak very eloquently about the engineering advances. We have an engineering regional industry council that is bringing in groups like the SBPLI robotics group that you saw in round 2. We also have Homeland Defense being brought in because of the proximity to New York City and a variety of others. So what we're doing is setting up a structure where these industry partners can interface much more easily with the academic community. It's quite hard for small, mid-sized businesses that are supporting these industries to actually engage with the school systems. And that's what the STEM Hub is about. If we have a student from a community who may be underserved, enabling them to apply for an internship, submit that application to that regional industry council, and have our industry partners find a way for them to engage. And the same with teacher work experiences, because a teacher needs to understand that industry to be able to share that knowledge with those students and get them excited about these jobs that are forthcoming within these industry partners. So that's what the STEM Hub is all about. One of the things we're doing is a gap analysis. Part of the funding from the state was to do that, to look at which communities are being served for which programs in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and going forward where we need to focus our energy to make sure we're serving all communities in that process.
Very much.
So thank you for the opportunity to speak about it.
The hour draws late, but I've been given a signal that we ought to bring this to a close, but I'm going to have one last quick question. Now, I will confess, I happen to be a homeowner in Long Island, Suffolk County, and I was very pleased to learn about Smart Grid 3. Simple question. Is that going to have an impact on the rates that I'm paying?
I hope so.
That's a very simple question.
We believe, we actually believe it can. And we're looking, one of our targets is to actually see a lowering of utility rates of 10 to 15% associated with that.
10 to 15%.
10 to 15% associated with that. That's what we'd like to see.
We're going to measure you on that one. I personally will be looking at my bill.
Give us a little time.
A little time? Little time. Cesar, I had the opportunity when I was running the Long Island Power Authority, and Darrell was the chairman of the Senate Energy Committee. And Darrell came down to Long Island, and we were talking about issues, and we were talking about a vision to be developing a smart grid here for the region. And now, we're not just talking about a vision now. We are conducting research, and we're going to get there, but we'll only get there with more help from the council.
Mr. Secretary.
On that note,
Mr.
thank you very, very much.